This is Bim's sourdough savory scone. So delicious. Look at the layer. And we're gonna see how flaky. Beautiful. I'm gonna taste it. Swadika, welcome back to Bim's Kitchen. Today we're gonna make my favorite menu, savory scone or ham and cheese scone. First, I'm gonna introduce the ingredient. I have AP flour or all-purpose flour, and I had butter, I had lard. If you don't eat lard, you just use butter. I had some of baking powder and salt. I use a very fine salt. And for the wet ingredient, I have sourdough starter. This one you can use discard. It's good time to use your discard. And this one, ham and bacon, some sugar in here. And this is mix of Parmesan cheese and some cheddar cheese. The reason I use the strong flavor cheese is because it's gonna create very yumminess for the scone. And I have 5 eggs. Now, for the first thing I need to do is I need to sift my flour with some baking powder. Okay, this is the way I sift my flour. I'm gonna put half of my flour and half of my baking powder together, and then I start sift it. So this way the baking powder can mix well with the flour. Sometimes when I mix the dough without sift, I can taste a lot of baking powder, which I don't like it. So this way is make sure that our flour is mixed well. Okay, there you go. Now after I mix this, if you can, put the flour into the fridge first, that would be nice, because we need it very, very cold. Okay, now we got the wet ingredient, very nice and fine. Now I'm gonna add some butter. This is a way to make it a little flaky. I use the cold butter. The cold butter will help the dough to get separate. This one is lard, so I'm gonna separate the butter into the dough first, and then I'm gonna separate the lard as well. If you don't like lard, you can use only butter, but lard make everything delicious, as I always say. Now my hand, I am gonna use only the fingertips. Okay, this is the way I do, because I don't want the temperature for my hand to make the dough hot, to heat up the dough basically. So I just want the cold butter and cold lard to mix with my flour. See? Now when you find a big lump, you just go and squeeze it. This is the technique some of people making croissant, quick way to make croissant. They use cold butter and they use cold flour. The reason they make croissant like this because when you mix cold butter with cold flour, the butter still not melt. When you bake it, when the butter melt in the oven, it's kind of separate the layer of flour or separate the layer of the dough. So I make it very rough mix. Okay, make it crumble like that. I can feel that my flour still very cold now. Okay, this is the key. You don't use your palm, only your fingertip tips. Sorry. English is not my first language, okay? Sorry if I write something wrong or say something wrong. I am learning. If you complain, I'm gonna write in Thai. Okay, there you go. You still have some lumpy part, that's okay. No problem. Now, this one is our wet dry ingredient. Now I'm gonna mix the wet ingredient, okay? If you can put this one into the fridge, that's okay. But if not, because we're gonna make it very well. Okay, now we're gonna mix the wet ingredient. I have sourdough starter, 400 grams. All the ingredients I'm gonna write it down for you, okay? So you know the correct amount. Right, now I'm gonna add some egg. I'm gonna add some sugar, some chopped ham and bacon. I have more in the fridge. I'm gonna take it out now. And I have a mix of cheese, a lot of cheese. Now, salt. It's gonna be really bland if you don't add some salt. Okay, now we're gonna mix the wet ingredient together. This is cold, which is good. Mix well, make sure the starter mix well with all the ingredients. Now, this is a fun part. After we have this, we're gonna mix the wet and dry ingredient together. All right, I'm gonna pour this wet ingredient into dry ingredient. Never miss it. Okay, now this is what I'm doing. I'm not gonna use my hand yet because my hand kind of high temperature. I use the spatula to mix all ingredients together. Oops. Okay, I need the flour. I'm gonna dump all this ingredient on the table now, on the counter. I'm gonna use my hand. Okay, perfect. Okay, now we're gonna mix wet ingredient and dry ingredient together with our fingertips. Okay, today my room temperature is a little bit humid, so it's make my dough kind of go set, kind of soft quickly. So I'm adding some flour to make sure that I have the right consistency. So don't afraid to add if you feel that your dough a little bit wet or a little bit dry. If it's too dry, you can add a little bit more of starter or a little bit more of egg. But if it's too wet like mine, you can add a little bit more of flour like I am doing now. So this is the way we do. Okay, first I'm gonna put on top of each other like that, right? And then I'm gonna use the spatula to press a little bit and then put on top again, and then press whatever here, put on top. This spatula to gathering all the mess together. Now I have two spatula. This is the way. Press. I don't put my hand direct into the dough because my hand is cold, is hot, high temperature. So I use spatula. So cut again, put on top. This is a technique to create the layer for our dough. Okay. One more. This is the way we had a nice puff scone. Now this is gonna be the last time for the layer before I cut into two parts. One more, one last time. This is good to cut the dough. Right. This is our last. A little bit hard. You see the layer of butter and the layer of yumminess of our dough. Now it's get fighting with me a little bit. It's hard to press. I need to rest the dough in the fridge before the butter melted. So this way we still keep our layer. Remember I have this. Okay, I'm gonna separate into two, okay, because we're gonna make two batch. Then put into the fridge now. There you go. Okay, our dough been rest in the fridge for some time. We're gonna shaping the dough. Okay, I use the flour to dust the table. and then I'm gonna take only one part, and then the rest I'm gonna put in the fridge for now. And then now I need a rolling pin to roll it out my dough, but before I do that, I want to make sure this is nice, perfect square. Roll just a little bit on top, press in the middle, press both sides. About 1 inch. I want to show you the technique when you cut the dough. I always have that bucket or container close to my now you dip your cutter ring into the bucket, and then you kind of just push, don't turn, because the reason I say don't turn because they have a little bump here. If you turn, the bump gonna close the gap between the layer. It will make our bread or our scone not rise properly. So what you do is you just see, let me show you the layer. This is the layer of the scone that gonna separate later. Now you just press into the tray. So each you do that. Okay. So how high? It's gonna be like almost close. If it's come out like that, you know, I don't touch around this area because I don't want it to be you know, close the layer. So if you see some part is flat, all you need to do is just push it up a little bit like that. So every piece of your scone is have the same height. Beautiful. The most important part again is always make sure you keep the dough cold, because if it's not cold, when you bake it, your scone gonna be falling, which you don't like it. Okay, this is how we doing it. Okay, one. See how beautiful it is. Different layer. Now, let's hope I can get one more here. Beautiful. This is what we get. Beautiful scone. and I am going to brush off the flour before I brush egg wash. Okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm gonna use a brush. You brush off the extra flour that we dust when we shaping. So this way you have a beautiful scone. I kind of don't want to touch the dough at all, okay? Okay, this is the technique, what we do with extra flour. I'm gonna tap a little bit with just water. So when we put together, they kind of seal. Not egg wash or anything, it's just water at the edge of each area. So when we put together, they kind of seal properly. A little bit tap tap. You can use brush, but I couldn't find my brush now. Okay, this is what I'm doing. I am just going to push them together like that. Like that. They become like the layer still there. You know, we have the layer, remember? So the layer still there. We just put them together, and then I kind of turn them over like that. Then I use my hand to press. Again, I don't want to use my finger. I use my spatula. And then I want to make sure is had a very same thick. I use a rolling pin again to roll it out. 1 inch. Okay, we had a perfect dough, just like brand new. Now, again, we're gonna rotate it into the container. Roll. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Oops. Right. Now, same thing again. Let me move here. Same thing again. This time I'm gonna use my brush because I found it now. So when we put together, they seal up nicely. Okay. Again, turn. Push, turn. Okay. One, 2, 3. Never end. I think we have it. We can have 2 more. Oops. Okay. 2 more. 1, 2. last one. So the last one always like that. Not beautiful one. Okay, how many more we have? But let me tell you, this one not gonna rise up nice because the edge been pushed. But I want to show you when I bake. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 more. There you go, how to roll out the scone. Okay, we are baking our scone now. I preheat my oven at 200 degrees Celsius. Now I'm gonna brush egg wash. Then we're gonna bake it. Look at the layer. Wow, it's gonna be beautiful. Gonna be beautiful. Layer of yumminess. This is a very long detailed video. I hope you enjoy learning the detail how to create beautiful, nice, flaky layer of savory scone. Thank you for watching and I hope to see you again for my next video. Enjoy baking!